Hello, it's Connie, and I decided today to show you a scrapbook layout that is kind of involved. So normally I try to keep these videos kind of 15 to 20 minutes, but this one may take just a little bit longer because I want to show you this layout. When Close to My Heart started the Cardstock Carnival, they came out with several art projects using rainbow colors of cardstock. And I decided that this one really caught my eye. I rarely just make layouts identical to what I'm seeing online, but I made a couple of versions and I wanted to show you all of the details that are in this layout and how to do a few of the things that are a little bit trickier. So I apologize for my lighting. I've been trying to fix my lighting. It's not working very well. What you can't see very easily on this picture is that there's a lot of colored splatters around the edge. There's little filament on here. There's a lot of die cutting, sequins. These little stripes take a little time. I just wanted to show you all the details of this page. What I love about it is that when they put the little extra embellishments on, they kept it so that the color families are kind of together. So, red on red, orange on orange, blue on blue, that kind of thing. So I think it looks kind of cool. The other thing is I think the title looks kind of lame. So I decided to make my title much bolder and different. But first I want to break it down a little bit and show you the edge. So if you look at the edge, there's a little bit of gray showing, and there's a couple of ways to do that. I mean, if you're just a beginner, you could just cut 4 pieces of cardstock. You could use gray and then a white sheet and then a gray sheet and then a white sheet. But I want to show you a technique for how to cut that so that you're not bulking up your book, and you don't want this one layout to cost you an absolute fortune. It's already going to cost you a little bit just because you're cutting up so much cardstock, I guess, but you don't want it to be really thick. All right, so I'm going to shut this off, and I'm going to show you, I have here our rail trimmer. This is it raises up, and here's where it cuts, so you put your paper on where it cuts. Now, our base page, let me grab it. If our base page is gray, and it is 12 by 12, and you want a 1/4 inch or so showing all the way around the edge, you need that next layer to be smaller. You need it to be about a 1/4 inch in on each side. So that means you're going to cut a 1/4 inch here and a 1/4 inch here, or you're just going to chop a 1/2 inch off of each side. So we're going to cut this piece down to 11 by 11, and you do that by looking here on your trimmer at the numbers, and you line your paper up at 11.5 right there. And then you fold this down and just make your cut. So that cuts off a 1/2 inch. Done. Then you turn it, and you want this side to be 11.5 by 11.5. So you put it in your trimmer, line it up, make the cut, and there's a 1/2 inch. So now we have this piece that will sit on our edge. Now from here, if you didn't have this kind of trimmer, you could use an X-Acto knife and mat. You might notice today underneath, I don't know if you can see it very well, but I have our Close to My Heart mat because this gets a little messy. This is the wipeable, cleanable mat. And then I have my old quilting mat underneath with the grid. And that grid really helps. And you could use an X-Acto knife and a ruler and just put it on there and whoosh, cut right down the side. I use that a lot. I think I've even shown you that before. But to make this less bulky, we're going to cut the inside window out. So let's get rid of the base page again. And here we have our 11 by 11, or 11 and a half by 11 and a half. What I want to do is make a 3/4 inch border. So to do that, I have to go in 3/4 of an inch. 1, 2, 3. So I am at 10 3/4. And then here you'll notice there are marks going up and down the ruler too. And you can do the 1, 2, 3. You start at the 3/4 inch mark. And you notice there's a little arrow and it lines up, and you just make that cut all the way down to the 1, 2, 3, 3/4 inch cut there. Now, so what we're going to see, you can see we're making a border. We're going to turn it, and we're going to do the exact same thing here. 1, 2, 3, and make a cut. And then we're going to turn it, and we're going to do the same thing again. Line it up, line this one up at the 3/4 mark. This seems a little fussy, but it really does save on paper. 1, 2, 3. And the last cut, line it up again. There's one girl on YouTube who does a lot of these kind of pages where she saves on paper by doing this to practically every single page that she makes. She cuts out the center, uses it for her photo mats and stuff, and then makes this her border, and then puts a color on top of it like this. And so that's an idea. But now you can see we have this border, which is really cool, right? Hi, Kelly. Hi, Noelle. So now we have our outside border, and that is pretty much done. We still need to put the stripes on the side, but we'll do that in a little bit. Now we want just a sliver, a 1/4 inch showing in here, but this would fill it. We can use this paper and we can cut it down, again, a 1/4 of an inch on each side, or we can just cut it by a 1/2 inch. So this is a 10 inch piece, so we can just make this 9 1/2 by 9 1/2, and so we'll trim it. There's a 1/2 inch off, and turn it 9 1/2. All right. So now we have a 9 1/2 by 9 1/2 border, and I'm done with my trimmer. Okay. So this piece will go in the middle, and this is the piece that we can get artsy with. So in the Close to My Heart layout, one of the things that they did that is really cool is that they made spatters around the edge of the paper. But before I do that, I want to show you how to make the cool heart in the middle. So what I did was I got a second piece of paper that is the same size. And this can be paper out of your, this can be any paper. This can be paper out of your printer. This can be cheap, whatever. And basically, you've probably all done this before, where you fold it in half, and because you want both sides to look the same, right, we're going to cut a heart. And you want the heart to kind of fill that space. So I'm going to just start cutting. If you think about it too much, want to draw it out, if you think about it too much, you will not be able to cut a great heart. You can see that's perfectly fine heart, and I cut it really fast. And if you use garbagey paper, you can do it over and over again. What I did was I cut it just inside a little bit so that when this heart is all made out of colored paper, it won't go edge to edge. We want it to fit right in the middle, right? Now this is the trickiest part, is how to cut it. So I'm going to get rid of my close to my heart mat just for a minute. I'm making a mess. Okay, so whenever you are going to cut you can do this in any design. I will show you. I made a Mickey Mouse one that I thought I loved. So basically what you're doing is you measure your design. It is, since it's on the grid, it's even easier, but you can just go from edge to edge. It's 8.5 inches, which means the midpoint is 4 1/4, right? So what we want is we want a line that cuts it in half, and we want a line that goes up and down, and we already have that because, you know, we have a fold, right? So that's how we start. This is how I make my pattern, and I like to use an X-Acto blade because I just enjoy that, and I have this mat on there a lot. So I'm just going to cut down the center. I'm going to set this piece aside, and basically what Close to My Heart did, you can tell what they did. I'm going to draw it on here, but normally I would just cut. They basically split this piece into 2, this into 3, and this is your center point. I left it on there so that you could kind of see it. And so if you make cuts here, you've got 1, 2, and then we want 5 colors on each side. And the first color is red, and it's my favorite, so I make it kind of bigger. And then I'll split that almost in half. So what we're going to end up with is a pattern, and I like to put arrows on it because once you cut this apart, it is really hard to tell which way attaches to the next piece. And then the other thing is, on this side it'll be red, orange, yellow, green, and dark blue. And here it'll be a lighter blue, purple, lighter purple, and then light pink and dark pink. Okay? I don't want to cut all of these pieces though. It's kind of a pain. So what I'm going to do is I would just trim this with my X-Acto on my lines. And I am making patterns, and then basically all I have to do is, I don't have to cut them all out for you to see, cut this one out of dark pink, and then it is going to flip and become my red. Do you see that? Does that make sense? And then this one that was here is light pink, and when I flip it, it is going to become my orange. So this way, no matter what, you cut them all, this will flip over and become your other colors. When you cut them out, let me show you. Sorry, I have all the little parts and pieces cut out already. What I decided was, I want to show you some of these key parts of how to put this together, but I want to show you the artwork on it, how to do some of that too. So I cut this one out of red, and I cut this one out of pink, and you can kind of see how it goes together like a little pinwheel. Now, the one thing that's kind of nice about Close to My Heart paper is it's two-sided. So, for example, if you didn't have a dark pink and a light pink, you could cut this one out of dark and this one out of lighter. But I just, since, of course, I have like all the colors, I went ahead and cut these out. So, this is how this works. And then you just would glue that onto your page, and it just makes your page kind of cool looking, right? Isn't that neat? Do you love it? I just think this looks so cool. And you could do this in any way. Like, this is a heart, obviously, and how appropriate right now, all the COVID-19 stuff, it seems to have rainbows and hearts as their theme. But I did this one in Mickey, and I basically did it the same way. I folded the paper in half, and this time I traced a circle, although you can see my Mickey's not perfect. I probably needed bigger ears, but I did the same thing. Made a cross, cut the pieces, and then cut them out of each color. Isn't that cool? And then I put this one, I just did this one a little different. I did not cut out a border on this one. I just put a piece of red cardstock on the back, and then my art piece, my 9.5 by 9.5 sort of piece on here. So it's almost the same layout, but it's just my version of it. You can tell I rarely make the exact same layout that I see online. I use it for inspiration of my own idea, and I thought I liked this one because I like the black with it, and I wanted to use a black and white photo, and this is a great page to start off my Disney book. I really need to start working on this Disney thing. Okay, I want to show you how to do some of you can see I put spatters on here. You can kind of tell I put paint spatters on. This seems like it would be an obvious thing on how to do it, but it is not always. So I'm going to put my Close to My Heart mat back down so I don't make a big mess. I'll probably make a big mess anyway. And then I have my center. This is the one my colorful heart is going to go on. I'm using the Close to My Heart, watercolors. You can use any watercolor. The other thing you can do if you don't have watercolor is, I've shown this to you before, if you take your stamp pad and squish it down a little bit, it puts ink on the lid, and you can use your water. This is a water brush, and now just remember where your colors go, because it'll be red, orange, yellow, green. So I want my spatters here. All I'm doing is making it really, really wet and tapping it on. And it doesn't really matter how messy or globby you get, because it's yours and you can do whatever you want. So if you want them to match exactly perfect, you can use your ink. Isn't that fun? I love Mickey too. And there's some really cool ideas. Like, you could do this page in a flower shape and a rainbow. You could actually do a rainbow. There's a lot of different things. So just think about it. So here with the watercolors, I hope you can see, I'm getting red and tap in the red where the red will be. And then if you want it to be, more, remember you're going to have the center covered, so you want it on the edges. And then I'll use the orange and do the orange section here. And then I want yellow. I want the yellow section here. So that's how I spattered, and I went all the way around and made it colorful. And while that dried, I put my Mickey together, or my heart together. So you can see it's a little messy, but it's a lot of fun and it looks really neat. This is a cool background for cards too. In real life, you can really see how cool this is. On camera, I'm not sure how much you see, but you can see it's kind of wet, and so it needs to dry, and I'm just going to wipe down my mat and get rid of it so we can do the next part. Ta-da! I love these mats because they just kind of take care of your surface, so you know that if you lay something white down on your counter now, it's not going to be all colored. Okay, so remember that this edge needs some stripes. What I did is I just cut a 1/2 inch of every color, and I know that there's 10 colors. I don't know where my red is. But with 10 colors, that's a 5 inch. So I need 5 inch on this side, 5 inches on this side, and I want them in the same place. So you can use your ruler or your grid mat. Like sometimes I'll use my grid and I'll line it up on a line. And then, so you know, do your math. 12 inch, we have an 11.5 inch page. We want to, you know, go up and make 5 inches in the middle. You know, you can do your math and figure it out. Or you can just do like what I do and I eyeball it. I eyeball it like this. And basically, so I'm just going to go from here to here. And what I like to do is I'll just take my adhesive and run it down that whole 5 inch section. And then I start putting my colors on. So like this. So if I start at 11.25, there's one, you know, and then the light pink, wherever my light pink is, I'm missing colors. And then, you know, you just kind of go in order putting the colors on. When you have them all adhered, then you can flip it over and use your X-Acto again and your ruler and just trim that off like this. That way you have this really nice clean stripe. So I just trim it. That way you don't have to be so exact. What I found is when I tried to cut everything exactly a 1/2 inch and stick it on, like, okay, this is going to be 1/2 by 3/4 inch, and I'm going to put it on my stripe. What I did was they weren't all exactly even measurements, and I ended up a little white border here on this one and maybe on this side on this one, and it just didn't look great. So if I do all my stripes kind of bigger and I line them up with my grid, you know, and march them out, they're perfect. And then I do the exact same thing on the other side, and you can see, like, if you know, you have an air, like here, we have it all on this line, you'll know exactly where to start it on this side, and it'll march out. I hope that makes sense. So what you'll end up with is this. I got pieces flying everywhere. What a mess. All right, so you'll end up with your rainbow of colors for your page, and they'll all be exactly laid out, okay? Isn't that cool? So there's your border. There we go. And then we have our, you know, spatter page still drying, but it'll go in the center. And then we do our heart. So all of that is pretty basic. You're basically just gluing it down onto your page. So I cut out some, I a title that says in black, because like I said, I really like this black thing. And it says This Is Us. I don't have it adhered because I wanted to play around with it a little bit. And then I liked the idea of having a black mat on my photo and putting my photo down like this. And I thought, wow, this is pretty cool. This is totally frameable. I could totally put this in my house on the wall. Isn't that neat? I have a couple of different pictures I could use. That's when we were at the bean. That's why we have a weird reflection there. So I thought that was really neat. So I put This Is Us on this one. Now, the other thing that I wanted to show you is the bling. So what they did was they kind of put a cluster of things here, a few things over here. And one thing that I really like the idea of is putting some of the hearts and flowers on the color where it came from. So, like blinging it up however you want. I have a lot of hearts cut out. And you could even, go with a white one or black, right? You could do another neat little thing, a little cluster down here. I really love the idea of the little flowers, making them kind of work. You can do anything you want with this. You can put them anywhere. If you don't like all the hearts and flowers, which is, you could kind of tuck things under. You could kind of just scatter. You could just kind of scatter things to wherever you want. Or just use hearts or just use flowers. The other thing that I really like is sometimes they put them on the outside. This really, the sequin pack, the silver pack is really nice because it has white, silver, and clear sequins in it. And they used a lot of sequins. I love the idea of just adding some bling. I like the little stars, and the sheer colors kind of take on whatever color that you're putting it on. So the clear looks like green when you put it on green. It looks like blue when you put it on blue. And so it's kind of a neat thing. They're also really full of static. They drive me a little crazy. But you could, bling it up. So I thought that was kind of neat. And then the other thought I had was that I, again, really like this on black. There's something about the darker background that makes it pop with the rainbow effect. And so if you made your background page black, that's what that would look like. Ooh, right? Don't you love it? And so, here you have a lot of cool options with that. Again, you could, if you're a button person, here's my Disney one again. If you're a button person or you have other embellishments, you could certainly add those. I just think it's fun to play around with this. One thing I decided to do is anybody who places an order from me in April, I went ahead and cut out all of the heart pieces and the flowers and the hearts, and I'm giving you enough cardstock to make little stripes. So if you wanted to make this page, I'm just putting together a little kit to mail you of these pieces already cut. Now, not the Disney one. I went ahead and cut this one and in the little pieces, I'll include some of the sequins, and you can use your own background. You can decide how you want to make that. You can use a white piece of cardstock and have the fun of jazzing it up. Okay, so I think that's really cool. Yeah, I like the bling on that. You can make any title you want. You know, this is really versatile. All right, let me make sure I didn't forget anything. Oh, I know. One of the things that Close to My Heart did this month was, you know, they did that free image for the Cricut. And if you have a Cricut, that Let's Stay Home would be really cute. On here, it's like a little frame that says Let's Stay Home. Oh my gosh, it's cute. I thought I had it right here, but I do not see it. I do not know where I put it, but it's really cute, and that would be a really fun kind of thing that you could hang on your wall. So, how am I doing on time? Did I do good? I tried not to make it too long. If you have any questions on how to make this or what else you could do, here's the stamp set I used for the little flowers. It would be very easy to, you know, add a little extra bling, stamping it on the edges. There's flowers and hearts and little musical notes. And this is the image right here, this Gather Happy Moments, what Close to My Heart used on their page. Let me show you that one more time before I say goodbye. So here's the Close to My Heart page. They used the Gather Happy Moments. You can see their bling and their sequins. See, they used a lot of silver. You can't tell, but that little one on the blue there is a sheer one, and it just looks blue on the blue. It kind of just takes on that color. And they double matted their photo because it was a small photo. It wouldn't have to be a black and white photo. I just happened to think it looked nice. Oh yeah, Kelly, good idea. She said it could be made as a Christmas tree shape in different colors of green. You know, the cardstock special this month has a green bundle that has, I want to say 4 different shades of green, and you get 6 sheets of each, and that would be perfect for that. Don't you love it? And oh yeah, and the stripes, these stripes over here, this reminds me of my childhood. I gotta tell you, I had like rainbows everywhere. That was in the 80s. That was like a very big thing to have rainbows. So I hope you guys really like this, and I'm glad that I was able to show it to you. And if you have any questions, just message me. I'll be happy to answer questions. Thanks. See you guys later.